So the clock was just rolled back decades on the issue of reproductive rights. The Alabama State Senate passed a near total abortion ban in a 25-6 vote on Tuesday night. The legislation provides no exceptions for rape or incest. The bill is the most restrictive anti-abortion measure passed since Roe v. Wade was decided in 1973. The bill now heads to Governor Ivey, a Republican. If she signs it, she did, by the way, the bill will become law. Up until Tuesday, she has withheld public comment on the legislation. The legislation, House Bill 314, Human Life Protection Act, bans all abortions in the state except when abortion is necessary in order to prevent a serious health risk to the woman, according to the bill's text. It criminalizes the procedure, reclassifying abortion as a Class A felony, punishable by up to 99 years in prison for doctors. Attempted abortions will be reclassified as a Class C penalty. So this law is so extreme. Look at one of the people who came out against it.
I think Alabama has gone too far. They've passed a law that would give a 99-year prison sentence to people who could commit abortion. There's no exception for rape or incest. It's an extreme law, and they want to challenge Roe versus Wade. But my humble view is that this is not the case we want to bring to the Supreme Court, because I think this one will lose.
So admittedly, the nature of his criticism is not that he's against it on principle. He's against it because he thinks it'll hurt the anti-abortion case because it goes too far, it's too extreme, so it's going to get slapped down by the court. However, there's a chance it doesn't, because now we have a massively conservative Supreme Court, and for the record, that's the whole point of this law. They actually know, some of the lawmakers are on record, and they say, listen, I know that this is going to have to work its way through the court system and even go to the Supreme Court. But that's the point. The point is, we want to challenge Roe versus Wade, and we want to put something in front of them that can make the anti-abortion case in a very doctrinaire and rigid and extreme way. And that's what they're doing here. My fear is not necessarily that the Supreme Court upholds this law, because this law does go very far. But my fear is they further erode reproductive rights. So there was the, Roe versus Wade, which was a key decision. And then later on, there was a fetal viability case, which changed the standard a little bit in Roe versus Wade away from the trimester standard to a slightly different standard. But still, it's basically a right in this country up until viability at this point that the woman has the right to choose. After viability, states can regulate the procedure as they see fit. But viability is 20, 23 weeks or so. And what we're seeing now is not just with this law, with other laws as well. There's, I forgot where the other one was. Was it Georgia? Where there was a bill. It's 6 weeks and later that all abortions are banned. So after 6 weeks. That is super early. Again, viability is 20 to 23 weeks. The nervous system being developed in the fetus is 20 to 23 weeks. So regulation after that line is perfectly reasonable. 6 weeks is massively, massively early. And we're talking about pieces of legislation around the country where they say, oh, we will jail the woman up to 30 years. What? If she gets an abortion after 6 weeks, again, super early, you're going to jail the woman. I don't get why they don't really grasp with the implications of this. Because if you are being logically consistent, well then, does a fetus that's 7 weeks old, if it's even a fetus yet, I'm not even sure if it's that stage yet, do they have free speech rights? Do they have gun rights? Can a mother collect on social safety net programs for the kid? So, hey, you were getting food stamps for let's say 2 people because you have one other kid and it's you, the mother. Can you go collect for 3 people? Can you get food stamps for 3 people? Can you get, more in Medicaid funding? Can you get more in disability? does the father have to start paying child support at 7 weeks? Again, if you're going to say, hey, listen, we're going to treat it like a fully functioning human at this point, well, there are other implications to that. Do they get their social security number at 6 weeks, at 7 weeks? You got to take this to its logical conclusion. Now, one of the most frustrating parts of all this is we know that these are the people who scream about, wanting to protect life, and they're pro-life, but then they're also for the death penalty. They're pro-life, but then they're also for every illegal and offensive war. They're pro-life, but then the second the kid is born, they say, let's gut the social safety net completely and cut education funding and give these kids next to no chance to climb that ladder and make it and have some sort of economic, financial well-being and success. So the level of hypocrisy and the contradictions in the belief system are staggering. And again, we're talking super early line here, man. After 6 weeks is totally nuts. And to treat it as a Class A felony for a doctor to perform an abortion and to have no exceptions for rape or incest, that defies all logic and common sense. Even Pat Robertson says, what? What are we doing here? What is going on? Really? This is going to be the direction we go? By the way, there are Republican lawmakers all across this country who refuse to even expand Medicaid. You know how Obamacare, part of Obamacare was you could expand Medicaid? The states can individually expand Medicaid. Republican governors across this country and Republican lawmakers at the state level have rejected a Medicaid expansion. So that literally means that actual babies are rejected for health care. If they fall just above that Medicaid line, and that line is too low anyway, so you could be a lower middle class working family, and they say, yeah, fuck it, your kid can't get health care. So those people who are fine with kicking babies off of health care are now turning around and saying, what about the children? We must care about the embryos and the zygotes and the gametes and the fetuses.